Thank you for being here and welcome to the virtual public hearing for the Loop 1604 expansion project from State Highway 16 to Interstate 35. We appreciate your interest in the Loop 1604 project and welcome each of you to provide comments about the project. The process of submitting comments will be explained later in the presentation. Given the unique circumstance of the COVID-19 outbreak, along with our commitment to protecting public health during this national emergency, TxDOT is conducting this virtual public hearing to limit in-person contact and large gatherings. At this time, the online format will be used in lieu of an in-person public hearing. TxDOT made an in-person option available by appointment only on September 10, 2020, and with strict protocols to ensure public safety. This presentation covers the same information that the San Antonio District would have presented at an in-person public hearing. The comment process for the virtual public hearing will be described near the end of this presentation. All hearing materials can be found on the TxDOT website on the Loop 1604 hearing notice page. The website for the project is www.txdot.gov, keyword search Loop 1604 from SH16. This virtual public meeting is also available in Spanish on the TxDOT meeting notice webpage. If you need the presentation translated into any other language, please contact Nancy Gates at nancy.gates@aecom.com. This is Nancy Gates, the Public Involvement Task Leader for the Loop 1604 project, and I'll be narrating this presentation. Clayton Rips is the Director of Transportation Planning and Development at TxDOT's San Antonio District. He is the Public Hearing Officer for tonight's public hearing. The public hearing presentation will begin with an overview of the project, followed by a review of the project purpose and need. Next, we will describe the project's design, funding, and anticipated schedule, followed by a description of the environmental process and study findings, and an explanation of how you can provide comments. The proposed project would be funded by the Federal Highway Administration and is a major federal action subject to the National Environmental Policy Act, NEPA. TxDOT prepared a draft environmental assessment to evaluate the social, economic, and environmental impacts of the proposed project and determine whether such impacts warrant preparation of an environmental impact statement. The environmental review, consultation, and other actions required by applicable federal environmental laws for this project are being or have been carried out by TxDOT pursuant to 23 U.S.C. 327 and a Memorandum of Understanding dated December 9, 2019 and executed by the Federal Highway Administration and TxDOT. The environmental assessment is available for public review and TxDOT will consider any comments submitted. Once the comment period is over, TxDOT will prepare a final environmental assessment. If TxDOT determines there would be significant adverse effects on the quality of the human environment, an environmental impact statement would be prepared. Otherwise, TxDOT will prepare and sign a finding of no significant impact. The project limits on Loop 1604 extend from SH16, also known as Bandera Road, on the west end, to I-35 on the east end, a total length of approximately 23 miles. The existing roadway typically has 2 or 3 main lanes in each direction and 2 lanes along the frontage roads in each direction. The study area also includes the existing Cloverleaf interchange at I-10 and extends along I-10 from Camp Bullis Road to just south of UTSA Boulevard. The Loop 1604 expansion project is needed because the capacity of Loop 1604 from SH16 to I-35 is inadequate to meet current and future traffic volumes. This has resulted in congestion, reduced mobility, and longer delays for drivers. The purpose of the project is to accommodate current and future traffic volumes in the project area, with peak period speeds closer to the posted speed limit. In 2018, the existing daily traffic volumes along Loop 1604 varied between approximately 112,000 vehicles per day to 150,000 vehicles per day. By the year 2045, traffic volumes on Loop 1604 are expected to nearly double, with volumes reaching 225,000 to 290,000 vehicles per day. The existing travel times to go from one end of the corridor to the other are approximately 29 to 37 minutes. Without any improvements, these travel times are anticipated to increase to 64 to 113 minutes by the year 2045. With the proposed improvements, the travel times are anticipated to decrease to 26 to 30 minutes. The proposed improvements include the addition of one high-occupancy vehicle, or HOV lane, and two main lanes in each direction of travel with no toll lanes, a new fully directional interchange at I-10 and Loop 1604 to replace the existing Cloverleaf interchange, and continuous sidewalks and bicycle accommodations along both frontage roads. The proposed improvements fit within the existing right-of-way, so no additional right-of-way is needed. The existing typical section along Loop 1604 generally contains two main lanes in each direction of travel, an open median, and two frontage road lanes in each direction of travel. Sidewalks are not continuous along the frontage roads, and the frontage road shoulders do not consistently accommodate bicycles. The proposed typical section includes a total of 4 main lanes and one HOV lane in each direction, a closed median, 2 frontage road lanes in each direction of travel, and continuous sidewalks and bicycle accommodations along both frontage roads. The next 4 slides describe the different levels and the traffic movements at the proposed Loop 1604 and I-10 interchange. The first level of the interchange would be at existing ground level and would replace the existing traffic signals with roundabouts. This level provides access to adjacent properties surrounding the interchange area. Turnarounds would be added along I-10, sidewalks would be provided through the interchange area, and the existing VIA Park and Ride facility would be modified to fit under the new interchange. The second level would include the I-10 main lanes and would provide space for future expansion of I-10 through the interchange. The third level would contain the Loop 1604 main lanes, which would be expanded to include one additional main lane and HOV lane in each direction through the interchange. Improvements at the interchange would account for 18.5 feet of vertical clearance for large trucks. On the second level, the proposed interchange improvements include collector-distributor roads along the I-10 main lanes. In other words, extra lanes between the main lanes and frontage roads along I-10 will help serve local traffic within the interchange and provide an opportunity for frontage road traffic to bypass the roundabouts. The third level would also contain collector-distributor roads along the outside of the Loop 1604 main lanes, similar to those along I-10. The fourth and fifth levels would include the direct connector or flyover ramps for all directional movement to provide higher speed connection between Loop 1604 and I-10 for long-distance drivers. The Loop 1604 expansion project from SH16 to west of US 281 and the 1604 I-10 interchange is currently funded with state and federal dollars for a total of $652 million. The cost to expand the entire corridor would be approximately $1.3 billion. Please note that the existing action is consistent with the Alamo Area MPO's funded projects included in the 2045 Metropolitan Transportation Plan and the fiscal year 2019 to 2022 Transportation Improvement Plan. The anticipated project schedule after this September 2020 public hearing includes the completion of the schematic design and environmental documents in late 2020, environmental clearance in late 2020, the start of construction on the Loop 1604 expansion from SH16 to west of US 281 in the first quarter of 2021, the completion of construction from SH16 to west of US 281 in 2026. Numerous environmental studies were performed for the project to comply with environmental regulations and policies. They cover a wide range of topics, including traffic noise, water resources, biological resources, air quality, cultural resources, Community Impacts and Hazardous Materials. These studies were documented in over 24 technical reports and summarized in the environmental assessment. The environmental assessment is available for public review and comment as part of the virtual public hearing and on the project meeting notice webpage. TxDOT coordinates with various agencies regarding the project, including the Alamo Area Metropolitan Planning Organization, Texas Historical Commission, Edwards Aquifer Authority, Texas Commission on Environmental Quality, Federal Highway Administration, and the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. In addition, TxDOT has received public input from a variety of stakeholders, such as cities, school districts, and emergency services, and during open houses for the general public. A wide variety of natural resource, cultural, and human environment topics are addressed. It would take considerable time to review each of these in this presentation. We encourage you to review a copy of the environmental assessment and provide comments on any topic. We will review a few of the key topics that were of interest during the public meetings. These issues are traffic noise, the Edwards Aquifer, endangered species, and air quality. The majority of the comments on environmental issues from the open houses were about traffic noise. Based on Federal Highway Administration criteria, a noise level of 66 decibels would constitute a noise impact at a residential receiver, such as a backyard. TxDOT has conducted a noise analysis of the proposed project layout using computer modeling software that was created by the Federal Highway Administration. This computer model was used to predict noise levels at 117 different locations or receivers along the corridor. The proposed project would cause noise impacts at 27 of the 117 receivers. Most of the impacts would occur at apartment complexes or other residential areas. With respect to mitigation, the computer model was used to evaluate if noise barriers would provide feasible and reasonable abatement. Based on the computer modeling, barriers appear to be feasible and reasonable for 10 of the 27 impacted receiver locations. At the other 17 locations, barriers would either not provide the minimum acceptable levels of noise attenuation, or the cost to construct the barriers would exceed the reasonable cost criteria of $25,000 per benefited receiver. As mentioned, the computer modeling is based on the schematic level data and engineering. If the project is approved, noise barriers would be further evaluated to determine if there are any conflicts that were not evident during the schematic level study. Once the detailed designs are complete, TxDOT would coordinate with property owners during construction if it is possible to construct feasible and reasonable abatement at these locations. There were numerous comments regarding the Edwards Aquifer, and issues involving the Edwards Aquifer can be contentious. This slide shows the San Antonio pool of the Edwards Aquifer, with the project limits shown in red. The Edwards Aquifer is a major water resource spanning 6 counties. The project would add 236 acres of impervious cover to areas that drain to the recharge zone. The project would also excavate 1.1 million cubic yards of fill, soil, and rock from the recharge zone. Most of the excavation would be less than 10 feet deep. However, the drilled shafts for some bridges would be 80 feet deep. 9 sensitive features, primarily solution cavities located at the base of road cuts adjacent to the main lanes, would be removed by the project. The project would not directly affect groundwater because the groundwater is located roughly 140 to 225 feet below the surface. However, the near-surface impacts quantified here may indirectly affect underlying groundwater quality during construction through the erosion of disturbed soils and spills of construction-related materials. After construction, the additional impervious cover would accumulate pollutants which may infiltrate to the underlying groundwater if the runoff is not treated. The project would include mitigation to avoid and minimize impacts to the Edwards Aquifer during and after construction. The key mitigation elements include the following. The project would be implemented, operated, and maintained in a manner that complies with the Edwards Aquifer rules and any applicable Texas Commission on Environmental Quality, or TCEQ, guidance documents in effect to implement the rules. The project would include appropriate water quality controls required by the TCEQ to control pollutants during and after construction. A contractor waste and materials management plan would be voluntarily implemented to prevent spills of sanitary waste and hazardous materials during construction. The project would include the installation of 81 stormwater quality controls that use media filtration or detention to filter runoff before it is released to receiving streams where recharge may occur. The water quality controls would voluntarily be outfitted with valves that would substantially increase the post-construction spill control capacity of the facility. Finally, as previously mentioned, there are 9 sensitive features primarily along road cuts adjacent to the main lanes that would be removed. This would prevent spills from entering them. There are 9 other sensitive features, mostly in creeks, that would be avoided by the project. Due to the required mitigation and voluntary conservation measures, the project would not be expected to adversely impact groundwater quality. Endangered species are a major issue for the project. 8 endangered cave-dwelling species live in northern Bexar County, including small blind spiders and beetles similar to the one pictured here. The project's action area includes 3 occupied caves. One of them is located in the TxDOT right-of-way, and the other 2 are located on adjacent commercial property. The project's proposed construction in close proximity to these caves may adversely affect the species that live in them. Although geologists and karst scientists surveyed the right-of-way extensively, no other occupied caves were found. However, it's possible that the excavation necessary for the proposed project could result in the discovery of more caves, and this may adversely affect endangered species. There is also a designated critical habitat unit in the action area near UTSA. Based on the project's design, avoidance, and minimization measures, the project would not adversely affect the critical habitat unit. There is potential habitat for the golden-cheeked warbler, which is a small endangered bird, in various locations along the corridor. The project may remove up to 7 acres of potential habitat for the golden-cheeked warbler. With respect to mitigation, TxDOT is engaged in formal consultation with the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service regarding the project's effects to listed species. The project would include a variety of voluntary conservation measures to benefit the species while also permitting incidental take associated with the project. The design of the project avoids and minimizes impacts to the known species locations to the extent practicable, and includes substantial water quality treatment at the critical habitat unit. Any potential habitat for the golden-cheeked warbler that needs to be removed would be performed outside the nesting season. Additional conservation measures would be incorporated into the project and approved by the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service before construction begins. In regard to air quality, our modeling results indicate that local concentrations of carbon monoxide are not expected to exceed national standards at any time along the corridor. The project may result in increased exposure to mobile source air toxics, or MSAT emissions, in certain locations. However, total MSAT emissions would be lower because the project would allow for higher vehicle speeds and thus lower emissions for most MSAT pollutants. The proposed project is located in Bexar County, which is in an area that has been designated by the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, EPA, as a marginal non-attainment area for the 2015 Ozone National Ambient Air Quality Standards. Ozone is not directly emitted from vehicles, but vehicle emissions contribute to the formation of ozone. With respect to mitigation, it is necessary to demonstrate that the project conforms with local and state plans to return Bexar County to attainment status. The project-level conformity determination is currently in progress. There were several comments about issues related to climate change. The project was not individually evaluated with respect to climate change. TxDOT has prepared a statewide on-road greenhouse gas emissions analysis and climate change assessment technical report, which takes into consideration increases in temperature. Please refer to the air quality technical report for more details, including the climate change assessment and how TxDOT is responding to a changing climate. TxDOT's San Antonio district conducted an extensive public involvement program for the Loop 1604 project. This included both stakeholder and public outreach activities. On June 14, 2019, TxDOT met to gather feedback from a group of stakeholders including the City of San Antonio, the City of Live Oak, Bexar County, the Alamo Area Metropolitan Planning Organization, VIA, and several independent school districts including Northside and Judson. Throughout 2019 and 2020, TxDOT met one-on-one with other stakeholders as well, including UTSA, Fiesta Texas, VIA, the City of Live Oak, the Union Pacific Railroad, and various developers. In September 2019, TxDOT held a public open house at 2 locations in the project area. These open houses drew 359 people and received 172 comments on topics including HOV lanes, traffic, engineering design, access, environmental issues, and safety. These comments and the comments from all of the stakeholders were considered during preparation of the environmental assessment. All public hearing materials can be found on the Loop 1604 webpage located at www.txdot.gov. Keyword search Loop 1604 from SH16. These materials include this recording, the script for this presentation in English and Spanish, the proposed schematic design, the environmental assessment, and a comment card in English and Spanish. TxDOT is committed to continuing its efforts to gain public feedback about this project. We understand this virtual public hearing format is a bit different, so let's take a few minutes and explain the comment process, which is the most important part of this presentation. The TxDOT San Antonio District is asking the public to provide their comments in the following ways. To make a verbal comment, call 210-714-0330 and leave a voice message when prompted. Please limit your voicemail to a maximum of 3 minutes. This option will be available starting September 10th and will continue until September 25th, 2020. Your verbal comments will be recorded and included in the Documentation of Public Hearing Summary Report. Email your comments to 1604-N-improvements@aecom.com. Download the online comment form and mail your comments to AECom, P.O. Box 201088, Austin, Texas 78720-1088. Attention Nancy Gates. Submit comments online by going to www.txdot.gov and entering Loop 1604 from SH16 in the Search TxDOT box in the upper right-hand corner of the web page. Select the Virtual Public Hearing web page and then click on the online comment form under Downloads at the bottom of the page. All comments must be received or postmarked by September 25th, 2020. You may also submit a combination of both verbal and written comments. Please contact our project manager, Scott Nelson, to ask questions at any time during the project development process. Scott's email is scott.nelson@txdot.gov and his phone number is 210-615-5876. As previously mentioned, project information including the environmental assessment, environmental technical reports, public hearing presentation slides, and maps or drawings showing the proposed project design are currently on the project website at www.txdot.gov. Keyword search Loop 1604 from SH16. Following this hearing, the district will consider each comment received during the preparation of the final environmental assessment for this project. Responses to your comments will be included in the Documentation of Public Hearing Summary Report, which will be available for viewing online by early November 2020. Thank you for participating in this virtual public hearing, and please remember to submit your comments by September 25th, 2020.